Hey everybody, welcome to the Abroaders Travel Podcast, your weekly meetup with thousands of entrepreneurs, hustlers, creators, nomads, ninjas, wanderers, and world changers, all seeking to build the skills and connections to live a life without borders. If you want to learn more about what we do or download our entire podcast archive, check out the website, abroaders.com. Happy Wednesday morning and welcome to another episode of the Abroaders Podcast. I am Erik here with AJ. And today we're going to share an interview with Chris Reynolds of theoneeffect.com. Chris is no stranger to world travel and especially visiting places off the beaten path. And his project, The One Effect, is on a mission to help people find inspiration through travel and make the world around them a better place. So we're going to be talking about some of the projects he's organized in Costa Rica, Peru, and a future one in Ghana. You can find show notes for today's episode at abroaders.com/oneeffect. That's one spelled out. An effect with an E. So hopefully you guys can get a load of that and get involved in some of the stuff that Chris is planning because it's pretty cool. Before we do that, I got AJ here for the first part of the show to just cover some news and updates with you guys. How are you doing, man?
Man, doing well. This past weekend went back to the old alma mater, had a golf outing, witnessed business catch on fire. That was pretty crazy. I don't know if I told you about that. During the golf outing, there's like all this just smoke billowing, and it's like some pretty dark black smoke, and we thought it was kind of a controlled fire, and then it got out of control, and there's like 15 fire trucks going around as business in East Lansing had some misfortune.
Yeah, well, that's one of the important things. Build in that resilience to your business if it's an online one, and if it's not, make sure you insure your building because that definitely would be a major setback.
Yeah, so that's about as exciting as things have been in Michigan here, man. How's Spain? What's new?
Barcelona's great. Been with really good people, got some great friends. There's a DC Junto coming up this week. So we're going to be meeting up with some other location independent entrepreneurs that are passing through or living in Barcelona. Went to a pretty cool event just the other day. Apparently this goes on all summer. So this was the last one for this year. But if you're back in Barcelona during the summer months, they have what's called the Electronic Picnic. It's a pretty awesome event. Good DJ, lots of food and drink and fun. It was kind of interesting because it was like an electronic music event, but there were all kinds of families and like little kids. They had like hula hoops and like badminton courts and like all kinds of crazy shit there. So highly encourage you to check that out if you have any desire to people watch. It's a great place for that. Other than that, man, just been pretty heads down this week. It's been a little bit hectic for, I think, both of us getting ready to make some pretty serious investments with the Abroaders platform. So we'll have to share some more detail on that. Maybe in some upcoming episodes, but we're working on integrating with a few cool services that we've mentioned before and that we'll link in the show notes, including TripIt, Award Wallet, and possibly Credit Karma, Credit Sesame. So to give you guys all the information you need to earn more miles and get maximum value out of them. So looking forward to sharing some of those developments coming up soon.
Yeah, it's definitely been really fun working on this and starting to build the software and put all the pieces together. I mean, just to let everyone know, our existing service is intact and it is fully live and we're helping people. But the idea behind this software is just to essentially allow us to scale the business. Right now we're maxed out. We've got a couple hundred people. That's about all we could handle. So this software is going to allow us to help, 1,000, 10,000, 20,000 people without having to do a bunch of manual work. So definitely heading down an exciting path, and we'll keep you updated on the different stages of our software development.
Cool, man. All right. So before we jump into the interview, let's go through a couple of travel hacking related notes for you guys. One that I just got news on today is that Aeroplan recently announced that they've had some issues with a glitch with booking tickets on their partner Air China, and that some of the tickets that were supposedly issued in the last month are still in pending status and didn't actually get ticketed. So this is definitely, if you have an outstanding Aeroplan reservation that's been booked somewhat recently, you're going to want to give them a call and make sure that the ticket was actually booked. And this only affects flights that are operated by Air China. So if you're in that spot, definitely call Aeroplan. But a bigger picture thing for you guys to be aware of is that it's immensely complex, the infrastructure from an IT standpoint that they use to book on partner airlines and have all that communication as far as who the passengers are and what flights. So remember that it's not always perfect and that this kind of thing can get screwed up. We always double check all of our customers' bookings before departure, and you should do that as well with your own. So, that's the key takeaway here is just because you've got a confirmation number doesn't mean it's ticketed. Double check sometime before departure and make sure everything's in order.
That's a good tip. We got some sad news coming up with Amazon payments, man. You want to explain that one?
So it looks like the Amazon Payments hack is coming to an end. It was one of the great hacks for manufacturing spend, or in other words, for making it possible to spend money on a credit card without actually spending any of your own money. So Amazon let you transfer up to $1,000 per month to a friend, and you could just withdraw that money into your bank account. And so as long as you had 3 or more people passing money in a circle, you could essentially not spend a penny and still generate really valuable spend. Unfortunately, Amazon has just updated their terms and conditions that is coming to an end on the 13th of October. So you still got a chance to get in around for September and early in October. But after that, we're going to have to look at some other ways to kind of increase that manufactured spend capacity, find a way to meet those minimum spends if your regular spending habits don't give you enough to meet the requirements to earn bonuses on credit cards you're signing up for.
Yeah, man, that was a nice hack, and it was fun having the little hustle going around with everybody that we had in our little circular exchange, but that's not going to really affect us much when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I think we probably got close to $50,000 in spend over a couple of years. It's been going on for a long time, and probably our partners in the transfers probably did another 50 or 100,000. But there's always going to be the next one. You know, when we first started, it was the U.S. Mint, and we were carting, boxes of coins to the PNC Bank in Kalamazoo. So those days are long gone as well. The key takeaway here, guys, is that you just got to stay up to date on what's out there and what's working. And there's always going to be something new. Every time something goes away, people get creative and find new ways to hack the system. So stay tuned. We'll try and uncover those and present them to you as we discover new ways to do it.
Yeah, we've got some non-travel hacking related news, just some travel stuff. I found this piece pretty interesting. So Hawaiian Airlines are the first airline to commit to a new satellite safety and aircraft tracking system. So this is obviously because of, the fiasco that was the Malaysian Airlines flight that just disappeared and was taken away by aliens or something. The thing that's really cool about what Hawaiian Airlines is doing is this technology isn't just going to help track the plane. It's actually going to make flights smoother for passengers, easier for pilots. Here's a quote from the folks at Hawaiian Airlines. What's particularly important is that Swift Broadband enables us to provide our pilots with real-time weather updates on their electronic flight bags. It will make our flights even more efficient because we can avoid the storms, inclement weather, and turbulence, whilst also providing the most comfortable experience for our passengers. So I thought that was pretty interesting. That'd be pretty nice to be on a flight that gets to avoid the turbulence and bad weather and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that plays out in practice. I mean, I'm sure all these major airlines are not operating without weather reports, but it'd be interesting to dig a little deeper and figure out what exactly they're going to be rolling out that changes the dynamics of how they operate their flights. So definitely interested to stay tuned for more on that and see if other airlines follow suit.
Yeah, definitely. Next piece of news we have here is pretty cool, but if got a lot of frequent flyer miles, this can be a little bit of a risky maneuver, but it's a cool website that aggregates hidden city ticketing opportunities. Erik, you want to give them a quick overview of the concept?
So hidden city ticketing means that, as you guys probably know, the prices don't make a lot of sense when you're looking at them sometimes. So if I wanted to fly to Chicago from New York, the price might be really, really expensive, say $800. And if I wanted to fly to Milwaukee from New York, it could be $400, even though that same flight connects in Chicago where I actually want to go. So the trick is to just throw away the second part of your ticket. Find a cheaper flight that connects through the place that you really want to go, and then just hop off. Obviously, you can't check bags or they'll take them to your final destination that you ticketed to. But if you can travel light, it is a way to save some significant money on airfare. Tell me about this service. So it sounds like they're aggregating the options for us.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So it is flyshortcut.com. That's flyshortcut.com. It's pretty cool. For people that aren't familiar with the concept or want a refresher, they give you kind of a quick breakdown of how it works. And then you can just search for flights by city. And they've got all sorts of different fares, and they show you exactly how much you're saving by throwing away that final leg of the flight. But one thing, be warned, if you do have frequent flyer accounts open, they do reserve the right to shut you down if they catch you doing this. It's not illegal. This is coming from The Economist, so a fairly trustworthy source. I'm not a lawyer, but The Economist claims that this is not illegal, but it is against the terms and conditions of a lot of these programs. So an example that you'd want to avoid would be trying to save $60 on an American Airlines flight when you've got 2 million frequent flyer miles, because you're putting those at risk. So if it's, an airline you've got no miles with or no attachment to, sure, but just be careful that they can shut down your frequent flyer account for doing this.
Yeah, you got to make sure the risk is worth the award. I suspect that this is for the habitual abusers as well. So, if you do it once, you can always claim innocence. Oh, I missed my other flight. Something came up. Things happen. It's the person that does this on a weekly basis that the airlines are looking for, because it's basically against their contract of carriage. So there's no law that says you can't do it, but the airlines, when you buy a ticket, you agree to the terms of that ticket. And one of the terms is that you actually are buying a ticket to where you want to go. If you're looking to get away with this, do it in moderation. Definitely let us know if you have any results with that website. I'd be interested to hear how the experience goes.
The final one I've got here that is a really, really cool concept, I have not used it though, is getairlinehelp.com. And for all the folks in the US, you're going to probably be redirected, but if not, getairlinehelp.com/US, because there's obviously some different rules and policies in Europe. But this is a website that pretty much serves as the middleman for any claims you have with an airline. So instead of, going up to the gate agent and telling them you had a problem and taking a meal voucher, these people really, really get after the airlines. And I think the average amount they get settled for is like $1,000 US. Now, Eric and I have mentioned before that you can get a lot of mileage out of calling up the airline or speaking to a gate agent and getting a lot of miles that would be worth even more in airfare. But if you're not the negotiating type or you're too busy, getairlinehelp.com. They just serve as the middleman. So any issue you have, whether it be cancellations or delays, it's pretty slick, and they claim to have a pretty good track record. Like I said, $1,000 on average. They take a little bit of their cut, but then they go hard at the airlines, and they, apparently have systems in place, and they, have done it before, so they know how to do it.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to take a look at that. I'm still waiting to resolve my baggage delay claim with United from a trip I took back in July this summer. So if you were willing to wait it out and really fight the good fight with the airline, maybe you can make it happen. But sometimes it's worth paying another party to hop in and make everything smooth for you. All right, well, let's hop into this interview. I'm here with Chris Reynolds of The One Effect. We are going to chat about some pretty cool stuff that you can do traveling. Chris has got a really interesting company that does adventures and charity work. I'm going to ask him a little bit about that. He's also been on a really, really interesting pilgrimage that I had never heard about until I moved in here. So we are now roommates and learning some really cool stuff from you. Thanks for joining, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Tell me what you're doing here in Barcelona, how you got here. And
I've been traveling the world for about 3.5 years now. Spent a lot of time, nearly 2 years in South America, or Central and South America. Came to Spain just to do the Camino de Santiago. Because I was here, I wanted to spend more time in Europe, so I decided to, last year, travel around the south of Spain, and then this year come back and then just stay in Barcelona because everybody just said Barcelona was a place you had to go to. And now that I'm here, I think you agree,
It's easy to see how much popularity this place has. It's really dynamic. I love this city. Well, yeah, so I had never heard of Camino de Santiago. So can you give everybody a little background about what this is all about?
So the Camino de Santiago is a 1,000-year-old pilgrimage that people have been walking to. Originally, they went as a Christian pilgrimage to see the remains of St. James. And today, people are walking in, and it's people from all over the world, different religions, spiritual beliefs, people just that want to find themselves. And it's a 500-mile pilgrimage. There's actually more. It can be longer or shorter, however you decide to do it. The most common one's 500 miles. It starts in the south of France in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. And you go over the Pyrenees Mountains, across the Meseta, over another set of mountains, and you ride in the northwest corner of Spain in a city called Santiago de Compostela.
Awesome. So is it pretty close to Portugal where you end up on the far side?
Very close.
Very cool, man. That's a hell of an undertaking. 500 miles is a pretty decent sign up. How long did it take you to do it when you went the first time?
First time I did it in 33 days. Second time I took a little longer. I actually went longer and did it in 38 days, I believe.
Okay.
Take my time some more, yeah.
Interesting. I mean, that's definitely something now on my list of things that I absolutely have to do. It seems like the more interesting travelers I meet, the more things get added to that list of, crazy things. We were sitting here talking with Scott Brills, who was on the show a couple of weeks ago, and, he's got now a new thing of doing a sailing trip in Greece that we're trying to get on the waiting list for.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of these things out there, but you did this twice.
Twice.
Tell me a little bit about the experience.
Well, basically all it is you and a backpack and a group of other pilgrims that you meet along the way. Your only responsibility for the day, if you could even call it a responsibility, is to walk. Mm-hmm. It's a really good time to reset your thinking in your mind, in yourself, and open yourself up to whatever's next in life. So a lot of people say that the Camino is the link of who you were before to who you're going to become. And it's that time in between where you figure that out. And so you have 5 or 6 weeks to just walk and think about whatever you want in life, what's next for you, what happened in the past. Talk to people that are going through similar things, bonding with people, and the people that you find on the Camino, they really become your family, because at times your survival depends on them. Because if you run out of water, they'll give you water. If you hurt your ankle, they'll help you along the way, or you help them, vice versa. And with that experience, you make a little Camino family. They become like your brothers and sisters. They really, really do. And every single day you're talking about, like within 24 hours, I may be talking to somebody I met on the Camino about stuff that I haven't talked to people that I've known for years about, you know.
Right. Yeah. I can definitely imagine that type of relationship, especially because what else do you have to do besides connect with the people that you're with?
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially with the magnitude of the shared experience. You know, I think you even connect with other travelers when you're both experiencing a new place at the same time, for the first time together. That makes it easy to make connections. But when you're with somebody for a long period of time and both of you signed up for the minimum viable 500-mile hike, that sounds like a great opportunity to bond.
For sure.
Well, tell me a little bit more about the details. I imagine the scenery is incredible. Tell me, like, what's the day-to-day like? You know, can we talk a little logistics, like sleeping, eating, walking? How do you manage all the things you need to get from point A to B?
Okay, so along the Camino, they have what they call pilgrim hostels. They're called albergues. These pilgrim hostels, you either stay in one of those, an albergue, a convent, a monastery, or a cathedral or church. Mm-hmm. These hostels and these convents and monasteries and churches have been there for hundreds of years. And they're set up specifically for pilgrims. So if you're not a pilgrim on the Camino, you can't stay there. At a lot of these places, a lot of these are just donativos, where you just give €5, €10, whatever you feel like giving to stay the night. And sometimes along the way, you're literally staying on the side or inside a cathedral that's 800 years old. And they're either ran by volunteers, or there's some nuns there or monks that are taking care of you. And the jobs of the monks and the nuns is just specifically, they have one job, and that's just to take care of pilgrims that come along the Camino. They know these pilgrims are there for a spiritual journey, and they know it's a hard journey, walking 500 miles. And literally you'll maybe come into a convent, and you'll see a 67-year-old nun, and she would say something like, how's your feet? And you're like, oh, I have some blisters and a little sore. And the nun will be like, all right, put them up on the chair. I'm going to give you a foot massage, or I'm going to take care of your blisters. And here you have this little old nun that's just taking care of you and rubbing your feet or whatever she's doing. It's phenomenal. And it's humbling. It's very humbling. And so we stay in those every single night. And so we walk probably, around 15 miles, 25 kilometers a day. Mm-hmm. But it's up to you. The objective of it is just to follow your heart. So when you're there, if something tells you to go this route or another route, or to take time or take a day off, you just follow that intuitive thought. Another big aspect of it is once you make friends on the Camino, you start cooking together. So you're cooking and having some drinks and wine every single night together. A lot of the convents or donativos will make you dinner every single night, and then they'll sing songs together. So it's a lot of camaraderie. Kind of like it.
Yeah, that's very cool, man. What kind of people did you meet? I guess demographics, I'm really curious, if it's young people, old people, people that are location independent, or people that are one time stepping away from their life that they have in one place to go do this. What kinds of people did you meet?
All of them. It's like a very micro view of the world. And you'll have people that are recently divorced, cancer survivors, people that are students on holiday, people that just have been working all their life. Finally, they retired and they can take that much time off. Location independent people, just people that are looking not just for an adventure, not just for traveling, but something a little bit bigger, which is, it has that, I think, inspirational, spiritual connection to it, to something. The part of traveling is like that. We're all looking for something bigger and growing and having more exciting lives and seeing the world, right? Yep. That's what the Camino is. It's just a little bit more than just backpacking.
Yeah, definitely it makes sense to me there. Mm-hmm. Did you know that before you did it the first time? Did you have an idea of what you were getting into on a spiritual level or, any other level before you did it?
I did, because the movie does a good job at explaining that, but also Paulo Coelho wrote it. He did it, and he wrote a book on it.
Yeah,
so
Brazilian guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wrote The
saw that
Alchemist,
looking at this. Very interesting.
I read his book, and so you kind of understand what you're getting yourself into.
Very cool. And what's the movie?
The movie's called The Way, and with Martin Sheen and Emilio Estevez.
Okay.
Their family is from Santiago de Compostela, so they wanted to make a movie about it. And the book that Paulo Coelho wrote is called The Pilgrimage.
Very cool. Well, definitely we'll put some links to both of those for people to check out. What was logistics like of doing this? Do you just show up and start walking? Do you have to sign up, or what happens? Where do you go? If I wanted to do this, what do I do?
You just show up and start walking. And they say the pilgrimage, like, it starts from your front door. So literally, I met a guy who started in Holland? No, Norway. And he closed his front door and he walked all the way. It took him 4 months. Walked all the way to Santiago. I met another guy who walked from Austria to Santiago, turned around and walked back to Austria. So they say it starts from your front door. There's other main, more commercial starting points for the Camino that exist all around Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no requirements, really. You just show up, and when you get to a place like a pilgrim's hostel or a more known location along the Camino, they give you a pilgrim's passport, and you get stamps all along it. And so every day you get a new stamp of where you were. And so when you get to Santiago de Compostela, they give you what they call a certificate or a Compostela, which means that
you've completed your pilgrimage.
Yeah.
That's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Huh. All right. And did you do this alone? I remember you mentioned that you had a friend that you had done some adventuring with and talked about maybe doing it with him. Did you do this by yourself, or?
My first one, yeah. I had a friend that I did. Every year we would go on another adventure together, and it got closer to time. He told me about the Camino, and then it got closer to time to do it, and he backed out. And so I just went on my own. And I had so much fun. I don't think I've ever had that much fun day to day, back to back, for such a long period of time. And before I finished the first one, I knew I was going to come back the next summer and do the second one. And then the second one, I brought a couple people that I had met from the States that wanted to do it too. And then we did it together. We didn't walk every day together, but we started, and our last day was together too.
Very cool. I really appreciate that ambassadorship sort of perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things that I want to do as much as possible, is try and share the coolest things that I've discovered with other people. So that's pretty awesome. So tell me a little bit more about some of your other projects. I know that you've got a really interesting business. Can you kind of give everybody a breakdown of what you've been doing?
Yeah, so my website's theoneeffect.com, and the tagline's Experiments to Change the World. We put on there like a lot of inspirational videos and writings about just kind of changing mentality of people that are looking for that kind of stuff. Each year that I traveled, I moved to Costa Rica from the U.S. first and spent a year there. And when we were there, I had a friend who had a maintenance guy who volunteered at this clinic in San Jose. And this clinic was run by nuns. They didn't make any money off of it. They were run on donations. And they needed a swimming pool for the children that they took care of. And so they needed just $5,000. And I was talking to my friend, and I was like, let's put some stuff together where we raise $5,000 and give it to these kids. And I was like, we'll bring some people from the U.S. and we'll climb the tallest mountain in Costa Rica and go to the beach and hot springs and raise all the money online. So we did that. We had such a good time that I was going to Peru next, and everybody that came on the trip said, let's do something like that again in Peru. So I went to Peru, and when I was hiking the Inca Trail, I met my tour guide, had a brother who did charity in the Sacred Valley in Peru. And he wanted to build a sustainable farm for malnourished children in this little village. And so I went and I met his brother and saw the location and everything. And the main thing that they needed for the farm was an aqueduct coming down from the glacier at the top of the mountain down to the farm so they would have water consistently.
Yep.
And so we figured out the funds for it, and I said, well, we can raise this online, then I'll bring my people down and we'll start breaking ground on the farm and building the farm with the families and the children and the villagers.
So at this point, it sounds like this was very much an opportunity of you met somebody that had a need and saw a solution to the problem. At this point, was it an official, business or an official organization, or you were just kind of reacting to needs that you were seeing and trying to figure it out?
I was just reacting to needs, and I thought it would just be cool. That was my most important thing.
Good boxes to check on in the endeavor.
Was it cool? Was it fun? And then I developed the business around that, because I was like, well, this is so much fun. I know there's a lot of people out there that want to do this stuff. Like, let's create like a website blog in these adventure travels where people can come and do that with us. Mm-hmm. Then I created that.
Very cool. I imagine that, one of the things we try and feature on this show, and I think, the interviews are a really exciting part of that for me, is ways that you can step into a broader world, a world that involves traveling to new places and meeting new people and having those fundamental experiences that change who you are. And I think for me, it was addictive. I did one thing. I did spend some time in Ecuador working as a volunteer in school, and from there, I realized that travel was something that had to be a fundamental part of my life. So I think it's so cool that you're offering that to people in a way that not only maybe makes it possible to step out of their comfort zone and go into a new place, but also have a great impact on people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you tell me a little bit about the logistics of what it takes to actually make this happen? I mean, it's not that simple, to somebody that's never gone through this before. Raising money online, getting people organized, and delivering a project is a lot more than just seeing somebody needs, an aqueduct to get water to the farm.
Yeah. I mean, the number one thing is, first off, you have to figure out what you want to do. The second one is persistence. The third thing that's really beneficial is that when you tie into people that really want to help the world, they collaborate really, really well. If you and I have a goal to do something in India, right? Raise money for children in India, all of a sudden, we realize that there's no hidden agenda between us. We just want to help the people. And so the idea of can I work with this guy goes away. And so people that work with charity and stuff like that, businesses that focus on that, they collaborate together much easier from my experience than as opposed to just businesses that are only for profit.
Yeah, that makes sense. I noticed, the way that you're working, you're doing, it seems like a lot of networking, a lot of reaching out. I hear you on the phone all the time. And for me, I think that's something that I would like to involve more in what we're doing with the Brothers. I mean, we're definitely trying to reach out to people that are knowledgeable about frequent flyers, either redemptions or programs, or there's a lot of interesting businesses. And I know I've met cool people because of what I'm doing, but to have that need to find partners to collaborate with is really cool.
Yeah.
What's your approach like? You find a piece that's missing that you don't have the solution for. How do you go find who can help you put the pieces in place to make it happen?
So I get a clear idea of what I want to do, and then I just start looking online of people that are working on projects like this. I'll interview probably the project in Peru and the project in Ghana. We did one in Ghana also. I'll interview at least 20 charities to see kind of what their parameters are, what type of people they are, and I'll just go through and talk to all of them and see to make sure that it's a win-win for both of us. Mm-hmm. Both times, when I found that person, it was like an instant. I just knew that was the person that not only I wanted to work with, but I had to work with.
Yep.
It starts snowballing from there. You just put the word out to what's going on. You connect with the people that started the project or are working on the charity, people that want to work, come on the trip with you. And then everything just kind of rolls into that. And it works out really well, actually.
Yeah, I can imagine that, there's a lot of momentum or critical mass that you can get with a project like that, because it's the kind of thing that you want to share with people. You want to tell your friend, maybe you have a job, you can't get out, you can't do this thing, but you hear about it, and maybe you know somebody that wants to be a part of it. And so I think that kind of has viral potential in a way that for-profit ventures don't necessarily have.
I'll tell you something, too, that I'm lucky, I think, that I have that it requires you need this to do it. It's I don't care if somebody tells me I can't. Even if it's somebody that I'm really close to and love, and I'll just kind of giggle at them and shoo them on their way. But you need that because especially if you're going to start something in another country where things are unknown, there's a lot of uncertainties. A father or mother or brother or someone, your good friend comes out and you're like, this is stupid. There's Ebola in Ghana, in West Africa going on. And I just don't think about that. I'm like, listen, I know what we're doing. We're going forward with it regardless. I appreciate your concern.
Having a good mental system with dealing with that, being able to be resilient against criticism and the naysayers, they'll list everything that could stop you. And if you have that resolve that it's not going to.
Yeah.
It's a small group of people that can do that, but I think that it's an acquired thing. You can learn to, it takes practice. You have to step outside your comfort zone and find a way to have the vision and see it through. Mm-hmm. So really cool. Well, tell me a little bit, I guess, before we go, what's next? What are you working on now?
So we just wrapped up a project in Ghana. The second Camino was a fundraiser to raise money for slave children in Ghana. And we built a home for them, and they're going to release the children out of slavery, and they get to live in the home and have a family they live with and everything. next year in 2015, we're going to go back to Ghana for a second trip, but also we're doing a 3,500 kilometer rickshaw race across India. It's 2 weeks in a beat up old rickshaw for charity.
Awesome. And this is actually, we talked with Scott about this a couple of episodes ago. So this is the same thing. Actually, Chris and I met up with Scott here in Barcelona a couple of days ago. That's really cool. So it's going to be your next project, right?
Yeah, that's for 2015. That's one that's on the map for sure.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm looking forward to that. Definitely best of luck. If people want to find out more about what you guys are doing or participate in one of these adventures, how can they find it?
So just go to theoneeffect.com, and then we have a Facebook page also. So just email me through the website or Facebook page, and we can get you set up. If you guys want to come on trips with us, you're more than welcome. Everybody is. Yeah.
Awesome. I definitely will be a part of that sometime in the future. Yeah, it's been great. So thank you for joining us and sharing everything that you're up to with everybody who's listening. We're going to put all the links in the show notes so you guys can check out Chris's website and get involved, either donate or participate in one of these adventures.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, cool. Cheers.
Cheers.
This week's International Jam is a remix of I See Fire by Ed Sheeran. Sheeran is an English-born musician who bought himself a one-way ticket to the U.S. to hustle on the LA music scene. The remix is courtesy of Kygo, who's a Norwegian remixer, and he's best known for this track. It's got close to 13 million plays on SoundCloud and over 40 million on YouTube. So enjoy that. We will see you guys next week, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Travel safe. Hey Brothers, don't be shy. Hop over to the website and join our email list for exclusive travel hacking content. If you like what we're up to, the best way you can support the show is by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes. Lastly, we would love to hear from you, so send your show feedback to Erik or AJ at abroaders.com. We will see you next week. Surely I'll do the same. Come finding mountain holes. We got too close to the flame. Calling out, Father, hold fast and we will watch the flames burn over on the mountainside. Desolation comes upon